Hi, I'm Sarah Mormon, and I have students in the Fort Recovery School District, and I support the Fort Recovery School Levy.
And what better way to get a feel for what's going on than come and look at things? We're going to have a real brief presentation at this time, and I mean by 7:30 we want to be done. In fact, I got to go see another group shortly after that, so we won't go longer. But I'm going to show you a little bit of information we have, and then we'll ask some questions, and then we expect there'll be other people from the building at 7:30. At least that's how we kind of advertised it. So let me show you what we have on here. One of the things that occurs to a lot of us when we look around this building looks in pretty good shape. It doesn't look like it's in desperate shape. In fact, Dale and I were talking, and Dale, you were in school here a few years ago. More than 20, more than 30, whatever that number was. But in reality, the building looks pretty nice. And I can tell you this. I have been in a lot of school buildings in different districts in recent years, and very few of them look at the building this old looks as nice as this does. The real question when you get into this is, what would you have to do to address the needs of this building? And I'll just tell you that OSFC mandates a full assessment done by an independent architecture firm. You don't get to pick them. They pick them from groups around the state, and they assign somebody to your district, and they come here. This outfit, ADA, was actually from over by Cleveland. So they come here and they do the assessment of the school. After they did that assessment, the board said to Garman and Miller, who are our architects, or who we have an agreement with, if we do a project, they would be the design group for that. And we have two comparisons then. I think you have this list in your packet, don't you? Mm-hmm. And people have asked me, well, look at those numbers. Are those right? You know what? I pay attention to when I do school buildings, but I'm not a contractor or an engineer or an architect. Obviously, there's a big difference between these numbers and these numbers. But we ask basically, OSFC has their definition of what has to be done. And like I mentioned to Chris before, one of the things that makes their option very expensive is that they would prescribe that you'd have to put sprinkler system in the entire building. Well, if you put sprinkler system in the entire building, you'd have to remove every ceiling and every light fixture in the building to do that. You're probably going to replace some of the floors if you do that. Okay, so that question the board had for Garman Miller was, okay, let's say we weren't going to do this. This is what we'd have to do to qualify for the state money to do a renovation of this building. What if we said, what would it take just to do this building? And here's the numbers that they came up with. Now, a number of people have looked at those numbers and said, how realistic are those numbers? I think Garman Miller are a reputable outfit. I think they're professionals. Could it be higher or lower than that? Absolutely. One of the things that you get into when you get in renovation of a building is that you don't always know the cost ahead of time. Some of you guys have been involved in business stuff and you know what happens. But these are the kind of numbers that we're looking at. A big issue is obviously HVAC. There's some other things. The roofing actually would have to be addressed in this building. Electrical and technology upgrades. The plumbing, that's a big one. And then you have a certain amount for general finishes. But, could those vary? The numbers could vary somewhat. But it's pretty clear that in the next several years, and in the discussion we've had with the public, is there's going to be some needs in this building, and what's the best way to address them? That's what we're talking about. So what the board has put on the November bond issue is a proposal to use the state's money, the $5.5 million that they would put towards a project, and build onto the other building to provide the space for the high school, and keep only the commons, the high school gym, and the shop area. So I think most of you have this diagram, and you can kind of see how the plan lays out in terms of the site for the pre-K-8 building. And if you look on the back, there's a smaller picture, and I know we've got a bigger picture of this on the chart here, if you want to look at it. That's what the proposal is based on. Now, Is there a different way to look at this or do it? I'm sure. Was this a snap decision, or was this something that somebody just came up with? Realistically, this has been a discussion in this community for 6 years. Some of you have been in on earlier discussions. You know this has been, which way should we do it? How should we plan to do this? At this time, we have what we think is the best offer that the Ohio School Facility Commission is going to offer us to help in the building. And we're not sure that that money for the state is going to be available indefinitely. Now, when they offered the money for a project and we have it on the ballot, people have said, okay, what does it mean? What if it goes down? Well, the School Facility Commission says you have 1 year when we give you that offer of money to pass the issue that you proposed. So, could it come up again? It's possible. Could the board decide to do something else? That's possible. I mean, you don't know those things until you get to you have to look at the results and look at the issues and see what kind of things you don't take into consideration. But the state says you're only getting 1 calendar year to pass that money, and then somebody else gets an opportunity. So that's the issue that we have faced with us. Let me go to some more questions. One of the attractive things, not everything is attractive about this proposal, one of the attractive things about going with this proposal is we would have somewhat less square footage building to take care of. Not greatly less, but about 10% less. So if you think about our estimates on operating costs of the building, we expect that 10% less would be a good estimate of what that future cost would be. Now, 10% less also reflects the fact that since we're smaller and we're in one place, we think there would be certainly an opportunity to save some of the cost of professional staff. And if you look at how much maintenance, custodial, the kitchen, secretarial, building aids, summer help we need, all of those would be somewhat less. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that, if this thing goes, we're going to ask people that are in their jobs. We got some pretty good guys working there. Maintenance guys like Vic and Larry. But if this thing goes, we'd have the opportunity to look at positions as people retire and see what makes sense to staff those jobs so we can take care of the needs in the future. That's kind of the key thing in this decision is what would the ongoing costs be.